what age did you go plant-based?
What age did I go
Yes,
plant-based?
that's a personal question.
I was 34, just about to turn 35. Did I tell that story, how that happened?
Absolutely. I think
Absolutely.
one.
I said show off. There's probably people who could tell the story better than I can. But I was 34 after 6 years of general practice in suburban Vancouver. I wanted to go back and become an anesthesiologist. Because I got so frustrated in general practice. All my patients were just getting more obese and more diabetic and hypertensive. And I was just raising their medicines. I didn't know what to tell them. I was this kid thrown out into the medical world there after 1 year of a medical internship. And I didn't know what to tell these folks. I got so frustrated. I said, I'm going into anesthesia. At least you know what to do there in every situation. So, and people respond. So I started my residency in anesthesiology. And after a couple of years, I found myself on the cardiovascular anesthesia service, which deals with people's hearts and blood vessels. And day after day, I'm putting people to sleep, and I'm watching surgeons open their chests and open the arteries, the coronary arteries on the surface of their heart. And out of these arteries, they're pulling this yellow, greasy gunk called atherosclerosis that is clogging up their arteries and giving them heart attacks and strokes. And one day, I'm watching the surgeon pull a particularly rubbery piece of gunk out of the artery wall, and as he was about to sew onto his graft. And I thought, boy, that stuff looks like chicken fat. And the little voice on my shoulder that everybody has whispered in my ear, it's a good reason why it looks like chicken fat, doctor. It is chicken fat and cow fat and pig fat and the fat of the animals the snails eating. And there were already, this is 1981, but there were already reports in the medical journals about atherosclerosis being caused by saturated fat and cholesterol in an animal-based diet, and that plant-based diets can melt these plaques away. I was well aware of these articles. And but I had special import attached because my father was already showing signs of clogged arteries, which could later kill him. And I knew that I had the genes for that artery disease. So I was getting a message, doctor, if you don't change your diet, it's going to be you on this table with that striker saw going up your sternum. Yeah, I didn't want that. I saw those folks in recovery when they woke up. Ooh, very uncomfortable. So I was getting a message from the operating room there to adopt the plant-based diet that I've been reading about. The same message was coming in through a whole different port at that time in my early 30s. I had spent a lot of time in medical school in the trauma unit at Cook County Hospital in Chicago, and just saw the worst of what people do to each other, and the shotgun blasts and the stab wounds and the pistol shots. And I would leave there after a Saturday night shift shaking. And I vowed, at least if I couldn't get violence out of the world, at least get out of my own life. So I made a concerted effort to learn about living a life of nonviolence, of ahimsa is a Sanskrit term, and how to go through this life without leaving a violent wake behind you, and to leave it more healed as you move through this life. And so I was reading Satchidananda and the Indian saints and Mahatma Gandhi. And one night in Vancouver, I'm pontificating to a friend about living a life of nonviolence while I'm polishing off a porterhouse steak at the local keg in Klaper. And he looks at me with great compassion and says, "It's all well and good, Michael, but if you want to get the violence out of your life, you might start with that piece of meat on your plate, because in satisfying your desire for the taste of flesh in your mouth, you are paying for the death of the animal and for the next one in line at the slaughterhouse." Well, as soon as he said that, in my head, all the old rationales jumped up. And, that's what they raised them for, and the animal's dead already, it doesn't matter. But before I could get the words out of my lips, the little voice in the shoulder says, you know, he's right. He's right. And when I went up to pay for the meal, I felt complicit in a crime that because I did a lot of my growing up on my uncle's dairy farm. I spent my first 14 summers up on a dairy farm. And I know these animals and how beautiful they are. And I've seen them all shot in the head, you know, when they stopped giving milk, and I chopped the heads off chickens. I knew the violence in all meat. And I had closed my mind and my heart you know, to that reality that we all do. You know, I'll never wag my finger at anybody who's still eating meat, because I know what it's like to sleep that sleep and just not there. It's a chicken breast, it's a steak, and you just don't think about it. You don't want to make that connection, you know, but clank, you know, that door is closed there. And so I know what that's like. And so, you know, we all have that, but bless the people who are waking up and setting good examples. And at that point, that was the last last time I stepped foot in the steakhouse, I'll tell you. And to finish up the story, about a month later, I'm in my apartment in Vancouver, and I had grown up in a Jewish household after World War II. And I had heard the stories of the Nazis and the Jews and how they had made lampshades out of the skins of the Jews. And here I am putting on my leather shoes and my leather belt. And suddenly it felt cadaverous, that it didn't feel good at all. And I had a hard time wearing them. So finally I went out in the backyard, dug a hole, and put my leather shoes, my leather belt, my leather wallet in the hole, and filled it up and apologized to the animals. If you don't know, you don't know. But once you know, you know, if you're going to be congruent with the higher truth in your life, then you act accordingly. And began the era of hemp wallets. I don't have one on me right now, but non-leather belts and shoes, you know that world very well.
Yes.
And a couple of weeks later, I'm talking to a friend of mine and telling her what happened. And she said, "Oh, you become a vegan." I said, "Oh, okay." I'd never heard the word. She said, "Oh, okay, I guess I'm a vegan." But it just feels right when I go to bed at night to know I haven't paid for knowingly at least, paid for the death, intentionally, of any living creatures on this earth, just like I am, stuck in their body like you and I are in ours, and we're all just trying to get through, you know, with as little pain and as much love as possible, even if you got 4 legs and big eyes. And, you know, we all deserve to be left alone in this life to find our own way, find our own truth. And so it feels much better to live as a vegan with that. Hi everyone, Dr. Michael Klaper here, announcing our new format for our Q&A with Dr. K. Each day, Annie Hagen will be asking me one question that's been sent in by our viewers. So if you want to see if your question is getting answered, do join us for our daily Q&A with Dr. K right here. Hope to see you then.